Have you ever noticed how two people can look at the very same person and see a hero and a villain? I mean, how does one public figure become a savior to millions and at the same time a total menace to millions of others? Well, today we're going to dive into this strange, fascinating, and really important world of what are called dueling realities. So let's get right to the heart of it with this question, because, this goes way deeper than just a simple disagreement over policy. We're going to explore this powerful, almost strange process of how a single human being gets transformed into two completely opposite mythic symbols, each one living in its own separate reality. And I mean, just look at this contrast. It is absolutely staggering. On one side of the cultural divide, you've got this idea of an angelic defender, a symbol of hope, of protection, and then on the complete other side, you have a hateful villain, a figure that represents division and fear. The thing is, according to the source material we're looking at, these two symbols are basically at war with each other, and they cannot possibly exist in the same story. Okay, so let's start by unpacking the first one of these powerful symbols, Donald Trump as the defender. Now, this isn't just a random label. It's a whole narrative, one that's built on these really potent ideas of strength, unwavering loyalty, and the promise of protection for a very specific vision of America. This quote right here is absolutely key to understanding this symbol. That phrase, flawed but loving, it's not an accident. It's a very deliberate and powerful choice. It frames him not as some perfect saint, but as an imperfect, relatable, and because of that, a more authentic protector for people who feel forgotten or just completely ignored. So the crucial point here is that these traits are really the pillars of that defender's story. You've got strength against enemies, you've got fierce loyalty to his supporters, and a promise of protection. And in this story, his bold, often controversial language, well, that's not a bug. It's a feature. It's seen as proof that he's the only one brave enough to actually challenge the establishment. All right, so that's one side of the coin. Now, let's flip it over, because for every powerful narrative, a counter-narrative seems to rise up. Let's dig into the other side of this whole phenomenon, Trump as the villain. This is a symbol forged in a completely different story, one about cruelty and deep national division. Wow, this quote just perfectly captures that opposing view, doesn't it? In this narrative, he's not a defender of American ideals at all, but the living, breathing embodiment of the nation's darkest impulses. It's a complete, total inversion of the hero story we were just talking about. So how is this villain symbol built? Well, his critics point to his words as direct evidence of cruelty, his policies as a source of division, and his rhetoric as this dangerous catalyst for intolerance. In this story, the driving force isn't patriotism at all. It's just an insatiable ego. Okay, so now we have these two warring symbols, right? And they are completely at odds with each other. The big question is, how in the world are they even created? What are these powerful, often invisible forces at work that forge these dueling realities and make them feel so utterly and completely real to millions and millions of people? And this right here, this is the absolute heart of the matter. It's this concept of dueling realities. This is the key takeaway. The furious debates we all see playing out everywhere are a lot of the time no longer about a single complex person. They're actually battles between two entirely separate symbols, and each one is armed with its own story and its own set of facts. And this just perfectly illustrates the cycle that locks these realities into place. It's like a three-step process. First, you've got media ecosystems that just reinforce one view or the other. Second, social media algorithms create these personalized bubbles for us, feeding us a constant diet of content that confirms everything we already believe. And finally, and this is the most powerful step, our view of the symbol gets welded to our own identity, which makes it feel like a personal attack to even question. So when you step back and look at the bigger picture, this whole phenomenon reveals something really profound. And it's not just about one man, it's about the very fabric of our modern political world. So what does it all mean? This is really the ultimate insight from all this. The two Trumps are a stark, really powerful example of a much bigger trend. Our political system has become a machine for turning complex, flawed human beings into simplified, mythic figures, saints to some and demons to others. And because these symbols are just relentlessly reinforced on the news, in our social feeds, in our own conversations, they start to feel more real than reality itself. We all get trapped in this endless tug-of-war over symbols, while the nuanced, complicated, and often uncomfortable truth gets totally lost somewhere in the crossfire. And that leaves us with a final and, honestly, a pretty unsettling question to think about. If our politics has become a myth-making machine, where does that leave the truth? And maybe even more importantly, how can we ever hope to find common ground when we're all living in two completely different stories? Thanks for watching.